Congressman, thanks so much for joining us. You voted no on this bill, I reckon. But I don't know if you were just listening a few moments ago to what we were hearing from the House Minority Leader, Hakeem Jeffries. He was essentially saying this was a victory for the American people, but a defeat for what he described as extreme MAGA Republicans. What's your response to him?
Well, my friend Hakeem has a job to do as the head of the Democratic Party, and I have a job to do as representing my folks back home. And the reality is we abdicated our duty, Jim, and you said, I reckon. I appreciate you bringing back your East Tennessee roots to us. But the truth is we did abdicate our duty. We were supposed to do two things up here, pass 12 appropriations bills and one budget. In the last 30 years, we've not done that. So in reality, we've kicked the can down the road. And sure, leadership's going to be for this, Jim, because this is chock full of all their stuff. It's added more money for so-called disaster relief. It's, it just sweetened the pot a little bit, and they got their price and they took it. And it's going to continue our broken policies at the borders. And I can tell you all the talking points, but the reality is we should be up here doing our job. The whole month of August, where were we? We were back in our districts. I work very hard in my district, actually, but I don't work up here, obviously. That nobody does any work up here. But the reality is we should have been here the entire month of August. September 30th, if you check your calendar, dadgummit, it comes around about every time this year, and we just kick the can down the road 45 more days, and guess what? We'll pick it up at about the 40th day and start doing something, and then we'll be back up against, what is that? It's right up against Thanksgiving. Imagine that. And then 30 days, 30 days, and then we're into Christmas. And then what are we doing there? Let's pass an omnibus bill for 60 days or 6 months or whatever. Let's just sit down and do our job and quit hiding all this stuff. The American public, Democrats and Republicans, are tired of it.
Yeah. Well, Congressman, I have to ask you a question here. Did you kick the can, or did the can kick you? Because, I mean, I think there's a real question here as to whether or not the Speaker caved. Did he cave?
Well, I think so. I think every person that voted for it, in my opinion, on their duty, it's both parties. We should, what are we afraid of, Jim, honestly? Why are we not debating these appropriations bills? Why are we not debating the budget? If it's so good, let's let each part of it stand up and take its hit. And that's just where we're at. We're not doing our job. And as long as the wheels get greased, and honestly, as long as the big boys are taken care of and these lobbyists are greased, everybody, apparently a lot of people are okay with that, and that is the wrong attitude we should take. We got to make tough decisions. We're $33 trillion in debt. I mean, we're taking in $5 trillion this year, and everybody's saying, oh, we need to pass this thing so we can spend $7 trillion this year, and we're only taking in $5 trillion. It's just complete abdication. I know that's a big word. You can Google it, but it basically means we're not doing our dadgum duty, and that's what we've done up here.
But isn't that on House Republicans, though? You're the party in charge. Are you essentially pointing the finger at your own leadership, at your own party in the House?
I'm pointing the finger at everybody, and we're right there, yes. We ran on this. This is what we promised the American public, and we are not delivering. And we need to come back up here Monday morning and start working. I realize we'll start working at about 2 or 3 in the afternoon and go to vote on something bogus on the floor around 6 or 6:30, and then we'll all go to our dinners, and then we'll start back again Tuesday. Listen, we're not fooling anybody, Jim. People back in Tennessee, you lived in Tennessee, people were working. Only time they're not working is right now because they're getting ready to watch UT whip up on South Carolina. So that's about the only time they're not working.
Well, I figure that's why we had you scheduled at this time for this interview. But Congressman, let me ask you this. When you come back next week, is Kevin McCarthy's job safe?
You'll have to talk to Matt Gaetz, and Matt honestly is concerned about his district, keeping this government open as I am, and doing his job. That's why he voted, and I voted consistently with the taxpayers of this country, both Democrats and Republicans. You may hate him, but he makes a lot of dadgum sense, Jim. We've got to keep the government open, and we need to start doing what we said we were going to do. And part of that is reducing this ridiculous spending. If we could just go back to pre-COVID levels, Jim, you or any of your viewers could not tell me one government program that's been added since COVID that you cannot live without.
Let me ask you this. Have you spoken to Speaker McCarthy? Did he reach out to you? If so, what did he say? Or did he?
Well, he did actually. This weekend, and it was one of those things, just sort of checking my barometer. But I think if you see my tweets on @Tim Burchett, you know what my barometer is, and I'm ticked off. The American public's ticked off. I'm here to work. I'm tired of all the slogans and all the BS talking points.
Do you want to see him replaced?
I want to see him lead is what I want. And I'm tired of just floating something out. Let's see how many votes we can get. Well, what if they came in and said we're going to replace this with Marxism or what have you? And then, hey, we got enough votes, let's pass it. I mean, that's why they lost votes on this last thing. That was their argument. We need to get something to pass. A win is not a win.
It sounds like what he did was he called your bluff, and I suppose for your colleague Matt Gaetz, some of you might have to make the decision as to whether or not you might try to force McCarthy out as a result of this. Is there any interest in that at this point that you're picking up on?
I think there is, but he didn't call my bluff. I knew we were going to get beat this week. I knew that we would cave in the end, because that's what we do. Get back to business, get back to normal business of running up the debt, passing it on. Was our grandchildren, now I guess it's our great-great-grandchildren. I just say, let's do our job. We should have stayed here all week. Matt Gaetz actually went down to make a motion when they motioned to adjourn to stay here, and they looked at him and they did not call on him. And again, we abdicated our duties. We should still be here working on this problem, because I guarantee you in 45 or what, I mean, what's the magic number, Jim? You know, we just kicked the can because we don't want to work. We should have been working the whole month of August. We should have started on this in January, obviously. I mean, when you have your chairman of the Appropriations Committee leave a mandatory meeting to go meet with a bunch of lobbyists and fat cats to get in all the cash, you know, that sends the wrong message to the American people. And we should not be for sale up here, Jim. You know that, both parties. It's just a money game, and it's wrong.
All right, Republican Congressman Tim Burchett of Tennessee, thanks as always for your candor. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir. That's why I always look under my car before I start it. Thank you, Jim.
All right, thanks a lot.